Be online. Hello. This is the San Carlos Computer Club. I'm Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions and the Anchorage Walkabout Town Bed and Breakfast, of where I reside at the moment, doing the Anchorage summer tourist season. Hi, Jim. We saw you jump on there, but we were deep in conversation. I didn't get a chance to welcome you.
This was very important.
We were just sharing different voting experiences, and my vision for this app may seem very superficial, but if it does a decent job of analyzing where things lean, like to the left or the right, and you're able to pick some issues that really matter to you and have that adjust. I imagine a pre-filled out ballot. You say yes on this, you say no on this, you support this judge, you want this judge out of here, without having to do too much research, more setting preferences. If you follow what I mean. I mean, we can only be as accurate as what we've witnessed in the public space. But it seems like what's been witnessed in the public space can be analyzed by an AI. And you could weight each one of these things, and you could weight your own politics through a preference slider, so that a ballot choice would pop up, even one that you might go out and campaign on.
Can we mute Fred, please?
Oh, Fred, sorry, you got a lot of background noise. I'm gonna hit the mute button there. Oh, and there's Dad. Hey, Pop. We were just getting started.
Okay. Yeah. Define is because of space.
You are very black. And now you're purple. It almost looked like you were attempting to broadcast video and something was in front of it, like a camera shield. I don't know if that's intentional or not. Well, welcome everybody. What have we got going? This is the 4th meeting, or the 40th meeting. That's what I meant to say. The 40th meeting. And as usual, I send out a document that has some topics on it I think people might be interested in. What I don't have on here yet, something that we'll probably be talking about, is this AI matter, this Hugging Face break-in by another AI, and what that means technically, and what that means in the marketplace and for these companies that are doing AI. And I haven't actually brought an article for that because I find it a bit complicated to follow it. At first, I wasn't very impressed with it, and later I thought it sounded very sophisticated and impressive, and then I saw where that information was coming from, and of course it needs to sound impressive and sophisticated because those companies are being valued right now, and so every time they say their models are very impressive, they go up in value. People want to invest more money in them, and so it's just a very strange place that we're at right now, where these AI models, I absolutely do believe that they are able to do cybersecurity better than humans can. And still, I don't think they're more intelligent than humans. In fact, they're very difficult because they are like a spell checker. We're still on that. It's still learning. So what they're able to do is put together impressive looking things, and at the same time it's not anything more than a probabilistic outcome based on language. And so that's its real fallacy, when it always has a problem. But it's proven to be so valuable in areas, and cybersecurity is one of them. Going through, in fact, if you were to generalize AI models as being good at something, in the end, like the lowest common denominator, they're just good at going through lots of data and finding correlations and mapping those correlations with a probabilistic statistic that can be brought up. It's good at just going through lots of data. Oh, here comes Richard. Wonder why I'm having to. Good morning, Richard. We were. I was just talking a little bit about this case with Hugging Face and OpenAI and how one of their models escaped from a sandbox and infiltrated another AI vendor. These open models at Hugging Face, which I actually haven't been familiar with until this incident. Have you heard of Hugging Face?
Excuse me, yes. And first of all, I said buenos dias, but apparently the microphone was off, so I apologize. Why do you believe that it escaped? And I put this in quotation marks. Why do you believe that?
You're asking me a rhetorical question because I haven't formed any opinions on any of this.
No, I'm asking you for the basis of your belief.
Yeah, I don't know that I do believe it. In fact, it's been pointed out by security experts that if you actually had secured the sandbox, you would have had an air-gapped computer. There, it wouldn't possibly be able to do anything outside of its environment.
Mitigations.
Right.
So I consider this a setup publicity stunt for their hype about the power of AI.
Yeah. Yeah, every time I hear the description of what was, and people marveling over it, then I learn that this is all self-reported. This is all OpenAI's interpretation of what they did. Forgive us, it was horrible. Right? That's it's all this self-reported stuff, and so the evaluation keeps going up. Well, we're supposed to believe the power of these things, and they there's no denying where they are very capable. But this story is a really strange one to digest. Not to mention,
and with respect,
yeah,
I would suggest, understood as marketing hype, it's quite simple to digest. And they created a setup that allowed their thing to go out and do something that they could use for PR to validate the alleged power of their system.
You're right. Every one of these stories is an example of see if you can do it prompting. And an environment in which it could be done, they've left it in an environment where it could be done if it could figure out how to do it. So it's difficult to take seriously as doing things on its own behalf.
Well, and what I take seriously is companies who have actually contracted this service burning through their tokens in some fraction of the time that they thought they would cover, and then saying, whoa, wait a minute, we want to think about our next purchase. I take that seriously. I mean, that's factual stuff from the real world.
As a result of this, I've become more versed in what Hugging Face is. Were you aware of Hugging Face before?
Vaguely.
So what I understand is that this is a website service that hosts models that have already been trained. They've already been put together, and they organize it as a database from which you can download them. These are specifically open. They call them open weight models. These are the models that you can run on your own equipment. And even more so, I became aware of it because I came across an article just recently that said that they're organizing these models by equipment now. So I was able to go to it earlier. Like yesterday, I was messing around with it. I was able to go to the list and set. I had a Macintosh M1, which is just a crummy computer to run an AI model on, but it's all I've got. and see the list of potential models I could run. And I'm like, this is exciting. Let's see if I can run one of these. So I downloaded it yesterday. It was something like 53 gigabytes in size. And I put it in the Llama, what do you call it? Harness, I guess. I guess that's what you call it, to run my own AI. And it crashed my entire computer. I couldn't do anything with it. I went from having the most powerful computer I've ever used in my life to one I was afraid I was going to have to pull the plug on and reboot and do a hard reboot on. So that was just a dismal experience. And I've actually I downloaded Gemma to run in Llama as well. And I know you folks, we're just on the cusp of doing this stuff, so some of this stuff just sounds like gobbledygook when I say it, because nobody's touched any of these things. No real people are touching any of this stuff. But we are in a world now where you could have a computer that could run some of this stuff locally, and that's what's exciting if things weren't so expensive to buy equipment like that. Yeah, that you could have your niche usage for AI as long as you had the equipment to run that stuff at home, and you would eliminate a piece of your privacy issues and monthly fees for services that whose value is questionable. And in the end, what would work for you? You might be using an AI model for a very niche behavior, and that might be very well. Even like the iPhone has proven that with the effects on their photos, they use a version of LLMs that do effects on your photos, like Photoshop type effects, and that's a niche area where that is used. It's very successful. And so those kinds of behaviors you might be asking of a program on your computer. Well, this is all that agentic stuff, is you have an agent running on your behalf.
I mean, that M1 test is actually kind of interesting because you described that as crappy or whatever word you used. But I mean, in the bigger scheme of things, that is not a low capability computer. I mean, still, even for all the years and whatever, it was so advanced when it came out that, it's not like you were trying to run that on something from 1998 or, you know what I'm saying.
Right, sure. But it is the advancement of computers. Our technology has advanced proportionately with the need, and what is driving the need is, like in the past, it's been video games and porn, or it's been streaming services, but whatever it might be is asking of those capabilities, and we're on that.
Well, and I'm curious.
We're on that kind of pivot right now,
and not into the weeds, but with the model that you tried to run on your M1. How many American dollars do you imagine that you would need to spend buying something new today that would run it.
Right. Because the things that are being sold now are already showing this price fatigue. They're like the computer that was $1,200 that would have been because we didn't see it. It's coming out now, but it would have been $1,200. Now it's $1,600. And that would be barely, I mean, that's without speccing it out to run AIs. That's just where we are, the plateaus. I think if you were to spec out an AI computer, you'd be looking at very easily over $2,000. And it's
that's kind of what I was thinking, but I didn't want to ask a leading question.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see how you get into a computer with enough RAM and enough processing cores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking a couple grand plus.
Yeah.
To actually play with this.
And that same computer would have been a $1,200 or a $1,400 computer this year if it hadn't been for all the data centers and AI stuff going on. Now it's that price. Now it's over $2,000. And that's just a hobby with it. That's not taking it seriously. That's not running dozens of agents at your beck and call 24/7. I can't get one thing running. Well, I was starting to say I downloaded Gemma when it was announced. That's Google's, and that's a hybrid model that runs locally and then shoots out for Google when it needs more. And that runs ridiculously slow under Olama on my computer. It's like having a conversation with somebody on a modem, like an analog phone line. Do you remember when you used to type and you'd wait for the character to come back to the screen to let you know that it got it? That's running that Gemma on an M1 is like that. And I've got 16 gigs of RAM. I've got 2 terabytes of secondary storage. It is an M1 processor. M1, well, if you think that the Macintosh M line started before all this open or AI, all these LLM hosting model ideas had begun back in the 2020s.
But again, for any other application, that's a
lot of computer. Yeah,
it's a fast computer.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to have any latency for anything except this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's just this application that's requiring. Even video games don't require this much compute. Probably the closest comparison would be Bitcoin mining.
Yeah.
And that doesn't need this specialized equipment, but it does need specialized equipment. It's different economics. Well, outside of AI companies claiming that they have broken into other AI companies, I did bring a few other articles of news, which I'm happy to go through. If anybody has any of their own topics, let's start with those. Does anyone have news or ideas or thoughts about what we've already been talking about? Nothing special. Cheryl's nodding her head. I found this article on Ars Technica by Nate Anderson. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've started crediting the author. Yeah, I used to say where the article was, but now I'm just more interested in giving credit to the guy that wrote it. So Nate wrote this article about how a guy in Canada was sent to prison for 18 months because he was one dash short of a child molester. Online on Skyrim, a multi-user social video game, his username And in fact, you can probably see it on the screen here. Let's see if I can zoom in on it. Wow. You can see that the police were looking for a man using Pick, which was a social media program aside from the Skyrim video game that had the same name, that was foos __ RO_DAH, and they ended up getting records for a man that was foos _. So instead of __, it was underscore. They pursued this person to Canada, like across the internet. They were able to trace that this came from Canada. They went to Canada. They arrested him, even though they had no real evidence locally on his person, and he ended up serving 18 months in jail before an appeal was finally put forth based on the fact that they had the wrong username, which is really just a hard thing to even comprehend, that like a username is so definitive. You've done it yourself when you've picked your own usernames for things. You're like, my name's not there. I got to put a 1 on it, or I'll make something else creative. I can't have. It's so very definitive. You would think that it would have stopped right there. The investigation into this guy in Canada would have stopped at the underscore, but apparently there was no check or balance for that kind of thinking during the investigation, and they continued to investigate and pursue until they got him convicted.
You know, I read that article yesterday, and the comments were fascinating because a lot of the people commenting were basically, he had to have seen, as the accused before trial and everything else, how many people saw, this was in documentation. And one thing that came out in the comments that I hadn't thought of, but it's absolutely true, is that some fonts, when you do 2 underscores, do not show a gap between them. They connect them.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's very true. It makes a solid line.
And that would make it, because everybody's saying, you look at the thing and you say, that's not my username because I have 2 underscores, and you know that because this is how you typed it, right?
Right.
Everybody may have, it's still incredibly stupid, but that everybody may have missed it because the 2 dashes, the underscores were connected. So yeah, it's longer.
Well, what you're suggesting is that the nuance of just the documentation, the way it would be presented to the investigators, you could get lost in whether there was actually 1 or 2. Just the fonts that would come out on a printer or on a screen. Yeah. No, that's
and I didn't remember that, but when I read one of those types of comments, I was like, yeah, that's true. There are some fonts that connect those 2.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. My thinking though would be that this was 2018. This isn't the Stone Ages, and so you would think that at some point there would be a digital comparison that because there is 2. I mean, even though it's presented as 1 given fonts and human viewing, you would think there'd be some kind of digital comparison that would have caught this earlier, because it's not the Dark Ages. So much is driven just by the data, not the people viewing it, but just the data alone. It's amazing that
maybe Cheryl could tell us, more about Canadian law, which I don't know anything about. But this guy's got a fantastic lawsuit, and I would say he's set for life financially. It's just a question of how much they're going to pay him. That would be the case.
Yeah, what kind of liability would law enforcement have civilly for disrupting this guy's life in Canada? In the States, I mean, you'd have you have lots of
yeah.
grounds. You're looking at multi-million dollars of lawsuit. Well, it turns out the guy they were looking for is actually in California. So how racist of them to assume that it was somebody from Canada doing all this. It was right in their own backyard. So, yeah. Gosh, and this just got appealed. I mean, we're talking about 2020, COVID. This just got appealed last week because they figured out they're the right guy. We have new version of iOS coming out, 26.6. This article is actually just, it doesn't get into any, I mean, it's got, it goes into, there's three new features that you would expect from it, but the biggest feature is that it's preparing you for iOS 27. I don't know if anybody has tried the beta version of 27. Us in this group, not many of us have more than one phone, so I would not recommend going to a beta software. You guys have heard me talk like that before. I'm very conservative because I only have the one phone. I don't have a testing phone. It's my daily driver. I can't handle hiccups and frustrations, and I don't recommend them to you guys as well. But if there was somebody running iOS 27, one of the big complaints has been the sheer amount of time it takes to re-index the phone when it comes back up. It's hot, drains the battery, it goes on for an unusually long period of time that makes people uncomfortable. And so the thoughts of this 26.6 is that part of that process is actually happening in this version, so that it's already done when you initially go, when you finally go to 27. Personally, this leaves me with some mixed feelings because I have an iPhone 11, and so what this indexing is probably not even going to be asked of my phone, because this is specifically for the new Siri AI stuff, incorporating your phone's capabilities with what they consider the new AI for the phone. There's a lot of talk about Siri AI as being this agent on your phone that you could go to ask to do tasks, such as find me a restaurant reservation or set an appointment with somebody. What were you going to say there, Richard?
I wonder if you found it, because I scanned those articles and the only thing I was interested in was how long I could stay on the 18 series. But I don't think that they announced who gets cut on this, if any.
No.
You know.
No, in fact, they say specifically if you can run this, you should expect 27. And they've already said that 27's its cutoff is the iPhone 11. So I'll get.
What about SE second generation?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Where did that come out in comparison to the 11? Because the 11 is the new iPhone 6 SE. Yeah.
What year? Because second gen SE, I think, was 2020.
Okay, 2020. So we're talking 6 years ago. We are on the 17. So we're actually talking about the same generation. So we probably specifically need to check, because there's a very good chance it's still going to be supported. iPhone
I mean, I've
SE
never gone to
second gen. 20. Let's yes. An AI overview says it will be officially compatible with iOS 27. They've also said that those generation phones, it is the last operating system. So like my iPhone 11 and your SE are both going to be compatible with 27. But all that
Yeah,
means
but
is
I'm not
that,
interested in being compatible with 27. I'm interested in continued support for the 18 series.
oh, I'm sorry. Let's see, iOS 18. You know, well, you'll wait and see, right? And you, I bet they're not going to tell us.
I didn't see it in any of the coverage. I mean,
Yeah.
that was all I was looking for.
I think it would be based on whether there are devices that can only use 18 and how
Because
old those devices are.
I'm running 18.7.8.
Now, what you'll have to see reviews, but what people running beta tests of 27 on older devices are reporting more battery life and better performance. But you always got to take that with a grain of salt. Those are enthusiasts that are trying it out on old devices. I don't know how it compares to people's real life, but I was excited because they were talking about how they have redesigned the way applications are launched. And so the experiences is poppier. There's less drag in the user interface. And then they've made some other changes that are supposed to extend battery life even farther.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it would be nice if that's the case, especially because we're going into this tech desert for those of us that are on a budget. We're going to be keeping these older machines running longer.
Right.
So yeah, I went into the summer thinking maybe I would be buying a new cell phone, and now I'm coming out of it going, this is working just fine. I'll carry a battery around with me. I don't need to spend $1,200 on a new phone. What else have we got? We're talking. Oh, there was 3 features that this is bringing. One of them is a malicious message warning system for iOS. I think this is already going on, but this is a more sophisticated. I think it's like everything else Apple. It keeps getting better. They're always iterating on it. So this is like spam messages or phone numbers that are associated with malpractice, malfeasance. And what else did they bring? Oh, and they that's not it.
Scott?
Yes.
I've noticed on Apple, yes, the possible spam, comes up on calls, but it sure doesn't on text messages. I continue to get amazing number of text messages that are offering me jobs and all these different kinds of things that I report as spam, and they keep coming. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about how to turn on the part of your phone to say unknown callers go straight to voicemail.
Yes.
And that's been working pretty good, except for when I have been dealing with like an insurance company and they offer me a callback. Only when the callback comes through, it comes from a different number than what I have in my telephone book. And I miss the callback because it goes straight to voicemail and I don't get there and I can't connect with them in time. And then I lost my place in line that I was on hold for 40 minutes before I was allowed to give them a number to call me back. So that was a bit of a mess. And also my doctor, my dietitian phoned me from a different phone number than what I had expected her to call from. And again, it went to voicemail. So it took a bit for us to get connected. So a couple of situations where the number that they use is in the office building, but it's not the one I have in my address book.
Sure. Yeah, no, those are some real growing pains with this kind of philosophy. There are services I've used before that actually give you ahead of time the number to expect. But what you're describing to me, and I've dealt with that as well, is like you almost want to have a way on like a quick button to turn this on or off. I haven't seen anything like that, but it's like you want to go to the control panel, you want to swipe down and turn on call blocking or turn off call blocking.
Yeah, or if when it's going to, the person is actually speaking, if you can connect. And I almost caught it the one time. I thought I had it, but then I lost the call. So, yeah, there is something there, but you have to actually kind of be on the screen at the same time that they're starting their message or something.
Right. You have to be very aware of the call coming in. Yeah, and when you're using that block all unknown numbers, it doesn't bother you until after the fact. You can see it going on when it happens, but you have to almost be looking at the phone. I think I've only been aware of it when they've been leaving a message. And so I'm watching the message appear on the phone with the latest operating system. You're able to do this, watching the message be left. It's giving you and you can intercept that call while the message is being left. This is interesting. Call blocking, call on the fly. I'm just making a note because it seems like that would make sense. That there would be something that would allow you to turn on block all unknown numbers just with the push of a button. Even if it was a voice command, even if you held down your Siri button and said, block all unknown calls or unblock all known calls.
Yeah, unblock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for that period of time, you're ready to bring calls or receive calls. But I'm not aware of it. I want to do some searches and see if such a thing exists. How easy it might be to do that. Toggling. I hope that's enough of a note that I'm going to remember that correct.
I got a note that call will end in 15 minutes.
Oh, all right. 15 minutes until this meeting ends. And we'll have to go on to the other one. If there isn't other topics that people want to bring up, I did bring this article about how battery life is gotten so much better so quickly in just the last few years. They talk about the headline's misleading. I think the biggest battery life they report in here is 28 hours. But they're getting them from PCs. It's not just Macintoshes anymore. And they attribute it to the new processes, the new smaller, more efficient cores that are available, the Snapdragon cores, but even the new Intel cores that are, I don't believe they're fabricated by Intel. I believe they're designed by Intel and outsourced. But even those cores are as if not more efficient than the Mac cores, the M series, as far as battery life goes. They explain how they do their testing. But just incredible gains in performance per watt. And its ability to function at smaller scales, their efficiency cores. They talk about how just a few years ago we were at 8 hours a day, or roughly 8 hours a day. And then just within a year, they're up at 16 and then 28. Oh, and here, this is the 34-hour. The Omnibooks, these HP Omnibooks running Snapdragons are, this last one got 34 hours on a single charge. Nobody would run a computer like that, but it's amazing to think that you could carry this very efficient, performative computer, lightweight, small, in your bag for 3 days without having to plug it in. That's amazing. Yeah, the Intel Lunar and Panther Lake processors, all-day battery lives. It's so fun to read about this stuff I can't afford. I would imagine this is their lab tests on battery life for the Macintoshes. And Macintosh, actually, what you learn in this article is they don't even have the smallest scale anymore. Yeah, Fred.
Yeah, a question. The problem I'm running into right now is, let me do this. Come back to me after you finish your battery talk. I'll bring up the subject.
Okay, well, I don't get the impression anybody cares about my battery. Oh, but this is something I did find interesting here in the article. They talk about how, the Intels were manufactured on a 3 nano processor. Sub 2, they're the first to move to sub. That's what I found interesting. They are before Apple. Apple is still on a 3 nanometer scale. Whereas Intel, who is chastised for the last few years of not getting it together, is now gone to the sub 2 nanometer fabrication. And again, I don't think that's them doing it. Yeah, in fact, here it is. It's a 1.8 nanometer. What that means, as the number gets smaller, so do the transistors. The transistors smaller means more efficient, requires less power, and generates less heat to do the same thing or to do more. So I was surprised in this article. I hadn't been paying attention, but AMD and Apple now are behind the Intel designs in that respect. Yeah. Oh, in fact, I didn't look at this table, but this is showing it's the Intel's Ultra 300 series. This Panther Lake is of the most sophisticated designs of fabrication of chips right now, which is amazing. Come from behind story for Intel. That's why I don't think they're the ones that are manufacturing. I think they're outsourcing. I don't think their fabs can do. Fred, what was your question? Let's go back to that, because I'm putting people to sleep with CPUs
and stuff like that, and I'm trying to get going with Raspberry Pis.
Cool.
Yeah.
Something to entertain my memory with at 80 years old. Anyway, and I cannot find. I have an old Apple laptop, and I can run things like VNC, LandScan, and things like that on it.
Okay.
But I can't run it on my iPad or on my phone. I'm trying to find something small to run
So you're looking for like a VNC client for your iPad?
Yeah, it's something that'll work on my iPad, and also a LAN scan, because the first thing you do is you get on the new LAN, you've got to find out what your IP is, and LAN scan works well.
I don't
So
know
is-
if I've actually used LAN scan. Let me look at what that would scan. I'm just doing Google searches as you're talking for iPad. It looks like Real VNC has a viewer for iPad. LANScan is a desktop application made not available for iPad, but the top alternative. Thing? Have you heard of Thing?
no, I haven't. Is that
I
FIN?
haven't either. Discover which devices are connected to your Wi-Fi. Thing.
Spell it.
Wait, view and oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had my screen up. Network scanner designed for iPad.
Thing.
Thing. So what this is an app that runs on your iPhone and scans your network for devices that are connected.
Comes in handy. I'm surprised you don't use it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I have not. I have. Yeah, I've done things like this in the past, but I sure haven't held on to whatever's the most recent. I guess I use an open source one called Angry IP, and I use it on a Windows computer, and I just do it out of habit. I haven't even looked for it on my iPhone. I'm looking for it now, though. I'm bringing it up. I guess I have used this before. It's in my library. I'm downloading it as we speak. Thing on iPhone. Discover and protect your Wi-Fi. See every device on your network. Agree and continue. Thing to use your location values. Join Thing for smart scan. I'll think about that. Ready to scan the network for the first time. Sure. Scan current network. Allow Thing to find devices. Here we go. It's doing a scan. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is what you're looking for, Fred. Found 9 devices. Found my router. Found everybody's computer. Some generic IP stuff here. Found my iPhone. Looks like its advanced features would allow you to scan regularly, so it would probably send you notifications if new stuff hopped on. Some of those features are available.
The main thing that I can see about this is this is from some crappy AI. Fing offers more advanced features than many other network scanning tools, such as real-time monitoring, alerts, and deep device identification, making it suitable for both home users and IT professionals. In contrast, tools like Angry IP Scanner are lightweight and free, but primarily provide one-time scans without ongoing monitoring, capabilities. So it seems like the ongoing monitoring is
Yeah.
the supposed thing,
Yeah, and actually the interface looks really nice. I did have to give it an association with my Apple ID, not on my first run when it did its scan, but to get back into it, it insisted that I associate what I'm doing with an Apple ID.
Also, there's this Delphic. Additionally, if not properly configured, it may inadvertently allow rogue devices to connect, increasing the risk of internal threats.
I don't see how that happened.
Well,
Maybe
yeah,
if you're dependent on the monitoring, maybe if your decision making is based on monitoring.
well, when they say not properly configured, maybe it has the ability to allow new guests on
No,
its recognizance once it's plugged in. I don't know.
no. I mean, they think that through because you have to distribute authentic. I mean, unless they're hacking your network, you have to distribute passwords, right? And this app doesn't have anything to do with that. But what it could do is it could be you could make it part of your IT profile that it's constantly aware of new traffic coming onto the network and making notifications to you when a new device is joined. And if it was improperly configured, maybe you have notifications turned off, and so you're not aware of a device coming onto the network.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It might also be AI slop. You're reading an AI overview.
True.
Yeah, it could just be AI slop.
Could be.
Now that I've said that out loud, I could think of a really insidious way that maybe it could give access, because the iPhone and the Android platform now has ways of sharing passwords. I know nothing of this software, but I could envision software that you have given the permission to share passwords.
Is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, what's that?
Authorized.
Yeah, pre-authorized devices. Yeah. So maybe you've left that in the hands of an app like this, just by the way you've set your permissions. I don't know. This looks highly rated, though. And the interface looks really nice. I'm going to play with it. And then as far as a viewer for your iPad, Real VNC is a VNC viewer I've used forever. In fact, it's interesting because the AI overview is actually pulled from Pi. Best VNC apps for iPad to connect to your Raspberry Pi. There is an article here from Raspberry Pi, or article discussion group. Of course, it's 7 years old. Do not use the official. You get some strange security here. Real VNC use their own encryption at some point. For some clients, will not connect. Real VNC seems to be the discussion group's suggestion here, Fred. Of course, it's 7 years old, but I was a Real VNC aficionado for years. I would trust that program unless something's happened to it recently, like some venture capital firm got a hold of it. Uh-oh, shit. I just realized I was talking to myself.
You were in the middle of speaking and all of a sudden, boink, we were on.
Where'd everybody go?
Was it something I said?
There's Fred. And we're back. So yeah, Fred, I would think unless there is, I haven't looked at real VNC in a long time. I haven't had a need for it, but in the past, it's been a very reliable, solid remote desktop application.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at, the Pi is very small to carry with you, and I always carry my iPad or my phone, and if I can use that to connect to the Pi, uh, that's a lot less than carrying a laptop or a desktop.
Yeah, like you could have a Pi as your desktop computer, and that could be like connected into your entertainment center, just plugged into the same surge strip and a TV monitor for when you want to use it as a computer. But then you probably use it casually through a viewer on your iPad, so you can sit back in your lounge chair and go to your desktop from your while you use the TV monitor 90% of the time for shows or whatever.
I think it's just intensely cool, Mr. Godfrey, that you walk around with a Raspberry Pi. That's way cool.
Well, Pi Zero doesn't take much of anything, and it's more powerful than a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting that we're talking about this. I wonder. I'm googling as we're talking. Raspberry. What is the price of Raspberry Pis right now, given Ramageddon we're into?
I just bought a 4 with 2 gig and paid I think $80 for it.
I see it here listed.
That was just the base unit, Fred. That wasn't, the case or.
Well, here's 90 with a case, cooling fan, cables for
There you go.
2 gigs of RAM. You need an SD card for storage. This is a Pi 4.
Either that or you can hook in a solid state drive to it, which is what I've been using.
Yeah, absolutely. You could have an interface for a solid state. But this is $90 for that starter kit. There's a Pi 5 basic starter kit for $75.
Buy that one. If it includes the Pi 5, because the Pi 5s are right now going over $100. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who this vendor is, but Bill Rose, are you familiar with them?
No, not at all.
This is a 5, but it's only got 1 gig of RAM.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but the 5 goes up to 16 now. Look at that. You could spend $330 on a Pi with 16 gigs. Actually, when you put it in perspective, I mean, like the Pi is a very powerful little computer. That's given that how much RAM and CPUs are going for right now, that's a pretty reasonable desktop computer.
I bit my tongue, but I was like, that's not so bad.
That's not so bad, actually. This is the low end market we're looking for, I think. Maybe we should make a bet right now that at some point in the next year, Windows 10 will be released with a graphic interface for the Raspberry Pi. It's not hard to conceive of. They've already had a Windows version, but it had no graphic front end, and it developed specifically for embedded systems could be developed, and it was released for the Raspberry Pi from Microsoft. It was free to develop. It was free to be used by developers to put together these devices. But it had no graphic front end, so it was intended for running code, nothing more. But given the state of the economy right now, the state of the tech economy right now, this is the reason that Microsoft has extended security updates to Windows 10, and it would be very easy to flip on a version for Raspberry Pi.
Not that it would be a deal breaker, but is that DDR4 or DDR5 RAM?
I'm looking at it right now. I'm sorry, I don't have that kind of information in the back of my pocket.
I mean, if it was 5, man, I would say it's a deal.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, you almost want to just buy it and strip it out.
DDR4. LPD DDR4. But you saw last week I brought an article about game board developers going backwards, supporting older processors so that they can take advantage of DDR4 memory.
Well, if you take a look at the Pi Zero W2, I think that's running, $40 or something like that. It includes Bluetooth and Wi-Fi in it.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. There's a Pi 4 Model B for $40 on this in this marketplace. There's the Pi Zero. Let's see that. This marketplace has the Pi Zero as low as $17.
Yeah, but you want the W.
Yeah, this is the Zero W. You're not looking at my screen, Fred. I'm looking at the Pi Zero W. Tiny low-cost version of the Pi Zero with the version 1.3 chip and operating system from the Raspberry Pi. I mean, this is essentially a stick. Look at this kit.
Not only are you not showing your screen, you're not showing anything.
What? You don't see that?
No, we see
We're only seeing your logo.
your logo.
Oh, that's weird. What's going on here? Oh, that's me.
Good morning, Scott. We can see you.
I know. That's just me, though. Where did my feed go? Why isn't that working? Well, you see me, but you're not seeing my feed. You're supposed to see my feed. It's set to my feed, but it's not working. Let me... You guys hold on a second. I'm going to try jumping out of this for a second. Weird.
I am now back in Longmont, Colorado.
Longmont, Colorado.
All right, I'm back. I don't know what the hell that was about, but I do know that there was an OBS update that I just installed, and maybe it's related to that.
Well, there's no screen if you're trying to show us a screen. There's you.
Yeah. I've got this screen. This is what I was trying to show you, and this is what this has turned into. This device.
Oh, that's just board.
This is, you see the case?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is like a stick. This is like a Fire Stick or a streaming stick. It's that kind of form factor.
It's about 3 inches long.
Yeah.
Inch and a half wide. Maybe less than that. Inch and a quarter.
Board only. Starter kit. $40 for the whole kit. Well, $50 for the whole kit.
And that includes RAM?
Yeah, RAM is soldered onto these. What does this one come with? Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, You can only buy one. Oh, it's got 0.5 gigabyte of RAM. It also has 512 megabytes of RAM. So this is definitely, this Fred is not running a graphic interface. This is running a really low powered version of Linux.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but for the size, yeah, you can put it in your pocket and take it with you.
Yeah. Of course, I mean, that is impressive how small it is, but you could get a much more performative Pi and actually use it as a desktop you can stick in your pocket. This is more like something. Well, I mean, yeah, if you want to live in a command line, there's a lot you could do with it with 512 megabytes of memory and a small Linux distribution.
If I'm reading this interface correctly, Mr. Stimson, it says sold out too.
Well, they've got, yeah, when we looked at their category here, I saw that they've got 2 of them that are sold out, the Pi and the 2W, but the 0W that Fred's talking about is actually still in stock. From this vendor, from this particular vendor. You know, there in Mexico, the Stern store is a vendor of Raspberry Pi products and Arduino products. You can go into Stern and they have a wall of this stuff. Well, I don't think it's hard to conceive of, as long as they've got an inventory of these Raspberry Pis, I think they're subject to the same kinds of problems, though. They need fabricators to build these chips. So I bet these prices won't last. I bet we're going to see these go up in price too.
Some of them are using older chips that, you know,
are they readily available in the market though? Because we're really under a supply and demand crunch.
Well, they're not using them in the AI stuff.
Right, yeah. Now this is still not working. Give me a.
So they still have an inventory of them.
Yeah, but is that inventory being refreshed, or are we just using it up? Like it became very clear with the MacBook Neo, they were using binned parts, and that became so popular so quickly, they had to reevaluate their plan because they were just using parts that weren't going to be used for. They were old iPhone 16 parts, right? And they were able to take those chips and repurpose them into cheap laptops. That's kind of where we are right now. Is these chips need to be fabricated? Do they have any priority in fabrication, or are they out in the marketplace in such abundance already that they don't need to be fabricated for a long time? I'm imagining a dystopian future where computer resources become so expensive that we are considering using things like this as desktop daily drivers, and that market gets bumped up in price because of supply and demand as well. That's what's happened across the storage sphere. If you've been paying attention to the themes we've brought to Club, we ran out of RAM, we ran out of solid state, and then we ran out of spinning hard drives. An industry that was cycling its way down to begin with is completely sold out right now. So, and CPUs have done the same thing. The article from last week about game board designers is absolutely true. They're trying to make motherboards to support game video cards, because gaming doesn't require as sophisticated as CPUs as it does video cards. And the memory for those older CPUs is readily available in the marketplace in like a used marketplace, the DDR4 memory. So they're putting out new product that will use old CPUs so that it will use old memory, so it'll drive the video card for the video games. That's what we're doing right now. So I have no idea, I have no inkling of how abundant Raspberry Pi boards are, but I know from my own experience that you can run a desktop Linux version on them, and that can be your desktop computer, and they're small enough that there's mods where you stick them in a laptop chassis. You stick them in a pill box size device that can be plugged into your TV set. I can imagine the next few years that may become a real reality for some people at their economic level. Interesting. I've only brought one other, I mean, as we're talking about recycling and going into this, I've only brought one other item with me. And it's this article about 4 devices that you could use with an old Android tablet that would make that.
This is the one I'm looking for.
Okay. Well, the 4 apps that they talk about is Photo Frame, which is the classic. Everybody recommends that. They recommend Photo. I've never used it. Who knows? Maybe it's awesome. I don't know. Space Desk, which I think I would use if I had a 10-inch tablet that is out of date. I think I would put this app on it. This allows you to wirelessly use it as a secondary monitor. It's not inconceivable to carry around a laptop and a tablet, and the tablet is the secondary monitor. So you could have more than one monitor with your computer. I like that idea. Also, the fact that it's a tablet, with this software, the touch interface is usable. So what you see on the screen is accessible through the touch interface as well as your keyboard and mouse.
What's that one called?
It's called Space Desk.
Space Desk.
Yeah, I haven't used it. I don't have this hardware situation, but I think that's one thing that if I did have a 10-inch old Android tablet sitting around, I would probably use it for something. I'd probably take it to the computer club with me and use it as a secondary monitor. And there is one that I've always thought is an interesting idea, but I've never actually had a reason to do this. This is like the big button remote control. You can set this up to launch things on a computer. So you would have like a virtual keyboard of buttons that would sit beside you. And this is very popular with podcast hosts and YouTube hosts, because they can have like a sound machine off to one side of them, and they can pop off sound clips by hitting buttons. In this case, this guy has used it for productivity. And so this application allows you to build that button interface, and then it sits beside you, and you're able to pop off applications and such by hitting. You can see from the one he's put together, he's got his WhatsApp and his Opera browser, his Netflix app, and things of that. And he's created this so that when he hits the button on the tablet beside him, it launches the application on his computer. Intriguing. I don't know if I would use it, but intriguing idea. And then this is the other one that I totally do all the time. Use it as an e-reader. Libby is the application of choice if you've got a library card. This is great access. And once you know it, I use it on my phone. I don't use it on my tablet. I use it on my phone because I download audiobooks with Libby. Libby's a great program. But on a tablet, especially if you're into graphic novels, like comic books and such, anything that's visual, magazines you can get from your library. So you could be looking at Vogue or Time on a tablet. So those are suggestions from this article, or things of that nature. These 4 different apps you might put your tablet in for use. And that is the extent of what I have brought to today's meeting. And we've been going for, I don't know, a bit of over an hour. I don't know because I had to shut down my whole system and start it back up again. But at this time in the meeting, we typically take like recommendations from people for things that you'd like to share with other people here. Fred, Jim, Cheryl, Richard, you guys got anything you want to recommend?
I actually was in the document last night. Did it show up?
Oh, let's take a look here. The Middle, Killing Eve, Ride or Die. Oh, that's the one I want to recommend. We watched that. That's awesome.
So are we? We're I think on episode 4 or 5 or something. I don't know. They're in Europe. Yeah. Anyways, we're really enjoying Ride or Die.
It's just smart,
We are too.
sexy, and fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuart fails to save the universe. This is the Big Bang Theory spinoff, right?
This is the Big Bang spinoff, and they released. Whoops. Sorry, I'm hearing more from Fred than myself.
Oh, sorry. Well, Fred, we're going to mute you again. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Sorry,
Fred took you. Fred
yeah,
is self-regulating.
Stuart's going to save the universe, and just some really interesting sci-fi typey things, and just a laugh out loud through it. We really enjoyed it. I think they released 3 episodes, and then there's going to be another 3 released tonight. Interesting stuff. And if you've watched Big Bang, and if you liked Stuart in the comic book store and the crazy botanist, there's an apocalyptic part to it. It's really funny. So witty stuff.
Very cool. Well, I look forward to watching it. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. And then the other one is Android. Bill and I are, the jury is out on this one. The premise is that as an older person living by herself, that she needs assistance, and they get her a personal robot. Well, the robot makes some very, very humorous social faux pas, and of course, says whatever it thinks, and yeah, so it's kind of cute. It's British, and we often have to put the dialogue, the closed captioning on, because we don't keep up with the accents, it seems. But anyways, so Android
Tell
is,
Bill it's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
yes, yeah, well,
It's loved, apparently.
yeah, and another episode comes out tonight. So we watched a couple, and now we're ready to watch it when it comes out on Tuesday nights.
Android, all right. I hadn't even heard of this.
I watched one with Sally Fields, and I wish I could tell you what the name of the movie was, but it was her and an octopus.
Oh,
Absolutely,
Great movie.
absolutely wonderful.
we
It
read
was
that as
great.
a book club book.
There
2
is a
years ago.
Google suggested search Sally Fields Octopus. Because
It's
nobody remembers the name of the movie.
Remarkable creatures.
Remarkably Bright Creatures. Okay.
There it is. I always put unbelievable in there, but it's remarkably bright creature, and it is based on the book, and the book was amazing. We all loved it, and they did pretty good. It's a very condensed kind of plot, but yes, very, very well done.
All right. Maybe I have to watch that.
She's amazing in that film.
I've seen it promoted, and I haven't been interested in watching it, but maybe I need to watch it.
Oh, you should. It's fun.
Yes.
It's from the perspective of the octopus.
Oh, excellent.
I would recommend reading the book, just because each chapter it's him looking out at the world and his take on stuff, and it's like a journal, in the format of a journal. And
It would be my first octopus author.
Yes, there you go. The point of view from an octopus.
Right. That's It's
Yeah,
intriguing.
his take on the other creatures in the sea and different things. So
Yeah, Sally Field's the supporting cast. The octopus is the leading cast.
yes, that's right. I don't suppose they'll get an award, but yeah, but the voice, everything, it just captures it. Yeah.
These other movies that are in here are from last week. Good Fortune and Japanese Story. Both of those were recommended last week. The Middle, Killing Eve. Those are recommended from last week. We got anything else we'd like to add to this list for this week? No, I don't have anything. What have we watched recently? We're going to get off of this meeting and I'm going to realize, oh, I should have, and I could have mentioned.
This is a giant rewatch, but apropos of the coming AI collapse, I rewatched The Big Short.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
The Big Short.
Well, little window on the future.
I'm actually taking a moment to get into my history here just to see what we've been watching. No, nothing I'd recommend. Little disappointed in myself. Yeah, that's all trash.
Well, I'm still working my way through Killing Eve. I'm on the last season. Yeah.
There is a new Strange New Worlds. If you're a Trek fan, Strange New Worlds is the latest Star Trek, and it's awesome. It's episodic, so you can jump into any episode and pretty much go like you would with traditional Star Trek. It's funny, humorous. So yeah, they've just started their new season. I think it's the 4th season. Yeah, 4th season. If you're a Star Trek fan. And there's new Silo as well. If you're a Silo fan, the Apple show that based on the books. It's if you've been following Silo, if you've read the books, I listen to the audiobooks, which is a great series, but they started Silo, I think, like on the 2nd or 3rd book. They started the TV show, and so it's like the first book is kind of lost in the series, and now this most recent season, we're going back to things that have happened in the first book. So it's before all the Silo stuff. They keep flashing back to how we ended up in the Silo situation. So it's been very interesting to watch. If you're into that kind of sci-fi. I have been watching Star City. I don't know if I recommend it or not. Are you guys familiar with that? Star City is were you familiar with For All Mankind? It was an Apple alternative history of the space program where the Russians won the space race to the moon, and then how that, and each season was another period of time in the space program until we reached modern and then past modern to colonize Mars. Star City is the first season, in its first season, and it is the Russian perspective. And so you're back in the 1950s, the 1960s with the original space program right after the Russians have made it to the moon and beat the United States, and what happens to their space program being Russian, being that whole Soviet time period. I keep saying Russian, I mean Soviet. And it's interesting. It's deep. You have to pay attention. I find myself rewinding it often to follow what's going on. It's absolutely not as hopeful a series. It's very dark. There's themes of constant surveillance and saving face, a lot of saving face kind of policies that are going on. They create some really desperate situations for people that have no control of the spaceship because of politics. It's intriguing, but it's not fun. I found For All Mankind to be a fun show. This is not a fun show. Dark. I think intentionally. I think that's the whole point, is to show a grimmer side of things. Well, unless anybody has anything else to add, I think we're done for today.
We are.
Brad, Cheryl, Jim, Richard, thanks for being with me today.
Thank you, everybody.
We will plan on doing it again next Tuesday. Look at that, right in time. Rings the bell.
Have a great weekend.
You guys too. Tech on.
Check on everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we did it. That was our meeting for July 28th. We will do it again next Tuesday at 10 Arizona Sonoran time. We don't observe daylight savings. UTC -7. That's what to look. Till then, everyone out there, tech on.